Today I'm going to be making some DIY washi tape using sticker paper, and it's a great scrap buster for using up bits of collage papers that you have. You can use your stamps, mark making, absolutely anything, and it's super easy. So all I have here is a sheet of sticker paper, and as you can see I have coffee dyed it because I love to have that like grungy neutral base to anything that I do. So you can use just plain white sticker paper if you want to, or you could paint it maybe with like acrylic paint, but I've just decided to coffee dye it here. And basically all I'm doing is using like the masterboard technique, where you essentially just collage across the whole of the sheet and then cut it up into your strips afterwards. So I've made these before with tracing paper and with tissue paper, and I've always cut them into strips, and you could do it either way, to be honest. It just depends which way you prefer to work. So I figured I'd just try it here with the masterboard style technique, because you get a little bit of a surprise almost when you cut it up and you see how it actually turns into the like little DIY washi strips. So I'm adding collage onto the sticker paper, and I'm sort of putting it into little clusters. So I'm not covering the entire base of this, because I do obviously want the coffee dyeing to still show through, and I wanted something that was a little bit more like lighter and not so heavy on the collage and all of the like scrappy details almost. I wanted a bit of balance between that, so I decided to just cluster it into a few different areas, both in the center of the sheet I was working on, and then also a few of the areas against the edge, and that way then it just gives a bit of variety with where the collage sort of turns out on the finished strip of the washi tape. And when you actually come to use this in your journal, as I was showing you at the beginning, you're able to choose which sections you want to like tear off or rip off and actually use within your journal. So I love to have these because they're such a like easy collage fodder to have on hand and ready to use within your journals. I've been making like quite a few batches of them ever since I saw Rachel over at Roxy Creations. She was who I initially saw come up with this idea, and I've loved sort of trying it with different materials, and it was definitely fun to use the sticker paper version here, adhesive on the washi strips themselves. So it's super easy then just to literally like tear them and add them to your journal. You don't even have to mess around with glue. So I suppose if you wanted to maybe like take these on the go and have them in your like ephemera bag or what have you when you're out journaling, then I can see this being really easy to just have on hand, and then I can just add it to my journals or whatever I'm working in, and just have that almost ready done little collage clusters. So I used a range of different materials for this. So once I'd added my collage base, I decided that I wanted to add a little bit of white paint, and what this helped to do, I think, was just to give a bit of dimension to the piece, because it was a little bit flat, even though there was all the different like papers and textures and things that I'd used. But this just really helped just to give it like a little bit of a mixed media look, but not too heavy on the paint. And yeah, like I said, just give some areas, like push some aspects of it back and bring others forwards, and just a little bit more interest. That's what I was trying to do. Like I didn't want to necessarily like overwhelm the entire thing, because like I was saying, I did want that area of negative space almost, so that I could still just have, you know, portions of this be the coffee dye, where I can then just add that to the journal page as well. But I just wanted to give myself options, I suppose, with how I could then use the different sections of this tape once I had cut it to size. So the next thing I then did was come in with just some stamps, and as you can see, I've stamped them like as whole images, and then in places I also stamped them coming like off the edge of the paper as well, so maybe just like a little bit at the top or at the bottom, so that there was a bit of variation with that. And I used a few different stamps. These are some of my favorite little floral stamps that I use all the time and stuff, but I just thought that they would look really nice on this. And it was just interesting to see, obviously, when you stamp on different materials, because I've used like book paper on this, I've used tissue paper, there's all sorts going on here, which is really nice for a mixed media effect. But it's just interesting to see then obviously how the ink will react with the different surfaces. So they're not always as crisp. Some of the stamping that I did kind of almost gave a bit of a feathered effect, I think more on the sticker paper surface, because obviously it's not really meant for this sort of thing. It's just sort of meant for obviously going through your printer, but I just figured why not try and use it for some collage fodder as well. And then my favorite little rub-on stickers, so these are MU brand, the ones that I'm using here, and I love adding these because you get such a nice like delicate effect from a like transfer sticker or a rub-on sticker, but it doesn't add a huge amount of bulk. And I think that that was really important for creating these little strips, is that obviously I wanted the surface to be, you know, pretty flat. Like I did think about having some like stitched elements, like stitching onto separate pieces of paper and then obviously gluing them onto this, and I still might, just for that like more like textured and that like real scrappy look for the like washi tapes. But I just decided to keep it simple with the collage and the stamping, and I can always experiment with how to add the stitching, but obviously I can't stitch directly onto the sticker paper necessarily. I don't think that would go down very well. And I was also adding here a few extra bits of masking tape, so I've been really enjoying adding that, I think just for like the tone and also the texture that you get, and it's a little bit translucent as well. And then I also added some details to this, so I just used a white pen and also this hot pink pen, just in very small sections, just to bring out some of the pinks that I had been using throughout this. So I kept this pretty neutral, but I did have those pops of the pinks, the blues, and the greens within this. I really liked the way that the stamp looked. And so now I'm just trimming this with my paper trimmer. So I was just sort of eyeballing this. You can obviously cut these like as wide as you want or as narrow as you want. And so this is the fun part where obviously you can see then how the individual strips will look by themselves. But I was also sort of thinking like which sections of the collage did I want on certain pieces, and making sure that maybe like with the stamp it was kind of split across two different sections. So I cut it in half because I just think that that gave it a more like natural feel rather than it looking like I just stuck the collage on. I think that's what's really nice about doing it this way, is that you do get that sort of spread of all of the different collage elements that you've included. I did this portrait way, but you could obviously cut this into longer strips if you did this the other way as well. And I really like the softness of how these turned out with the coffee dyeing. I definitely think that they will go with a lot of journal pages that I work on, and they're neutral enough to be like background elements, so I can definitely just use them straight onto a background like I showed you at the start of the video in my altar book. And then yeah, I can then, you know, embellish them with other details, or they are also just fine to sit on their own as well. And I just really love the way that these have turned out. I can definitely see myself using these a lot for backgrounds of my journal pages, just because they're so easy to add the collage, like I said. So I hope you enjoyed joining me for the process of making these, and maybe you might want to try making some for your own journals as well. I'm definitely going to go and create some more, and I can see how this can get quite addictive with just making loads of these DIY washi strips. But I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next one.